tax dollars are going towards air quotations journalist groups that promote this.
An organization called Cult MTL. It's a self-proclaimed politically left tabloid that exists online, and the Heritage Department deems it as, quote, journalism. They've given them a grant to that effect. It was given in 2024-2025. On September 11th, the day after Charlie Kirk's assassination, this organization released an article titled "To Hell with Charlie Kirk." And the article makes light of his assassination and then ends with these words, "You reap what you sow." Now, I'm an advocate for free speech, so as much as I find these words disgusting, I'll defend their right to say them. However, what I do find indefensible is the fact that Canadian tax dollars were used in order to propagate this type of material. Do you believe that that's wrong as well?
Honnêtement, j'ai vérifié avec la sous-ministre.
Honestly, I checked with the Deputy Minister. We have not been made aware of this. I can undertake to quickly look into this with the department and see what, in fact, was printed in this newspaper, and we'll come back to you and convey this to all of the members of the committee.
The article here with me, so I could give it to you here today. Would you cut the funding to this organization, or would you continue to support this type of thought that is being put out there?
Sous toute réserve de vérification que le département.
Subject, of course, to any verifications that the department and I myself may do. Hate and spreading hate has no place in the public discourse in Canada, and we have legislation to that effect. As I said previously, we are not aware of what was written in this case, but we will make the necessary verifications.
Example of such actions that have been taken, and it's actually Canada's Special Representative on Combating Islamophobia co-founded an organization called the Anti-Hate Network. Now, they've been funded by your department to the tune of almost $1 million. And a portion of this money was used to hire what they're calling, quote, an investigative journalist. And what they're asking this person to do is find stories about what they're calling far-right groups and individuals. And a part of their definition of those that would fall within this group includes Catholics and people who identify as pro-life. Now, this investigative journalist would then go find stories or write stories and then give them to the mainstream media in order to get the narrative out there further. Now, as you can imagine, something like this only serves to divide people. It's a grave disservice to the unity of our country and the well-being of our people, and it spurs further polarization. Now, in the beginning, you stated, and I'll quote, that we need to unite and come together. So when an organization is taking almost $1 million from your government and using it to this end, do you believe that they should continue to be funded?
Comme je l'ai dit, effectivement, notre rôle.
As I've said, our role as a government and as members of parliament is to unite people and not work to divide them. With the department's team, I'll be looking at what was done by this organization. And if, in fact, what you're saying is true, we will take the necessary steps.
Revoke the tax dollars that are going into an organization like this? I mean, Minister, let's be clear. You're collecting tax dollars from people all across the country with all sorts of beliefs, from all sorts of backgrounds. And those dollars are being used towards an organization that's actually furthering or spurring greater polarization and arguably hate in this country by choosing to pick on certain groups of people. Minister, is that type of behavior excusable? Should we continue to use public dollars for that type of conduct?
C'est arrivé dans le passé que nous ayons retiré du financement des organisations.
In the past, we have withdrawn funding from organizations which did not act in keeping with the federal government's values. We will examine this particular case, and if it turns out that the organization does not deserve to continue receiving government funding, the funding will be withdrawn.
To hearing from you, I hope on the record, as to your decisions with regards to both these organizations, Cult MTL, as well as the Anti-Hate Network. Minister, you did say that you had a welcome meeting with the CEO of the CBC. I'm just curious, to be clear, you did not at all bring up with her the workplace culture at the CBC and the fact that there are significant complaints and numerous complaints with regards to it being toxic in nature. That did not come up in your meeting with the CEO.
I'm sorry, there's no time for that response. You're out of time. Mrs.
Well,
Thomas,
that's
perhaps
convenient
you can.
because you gave everyone else an additional 20 to 30 seconds.
You had an extra 20 to 30 seconds
no, I
in the
did not. I
first
had an
round,
extra
and now we're into
7.
the second round, and I'm trying to be more cognizant of everybody's time.
The fact that he doesn't even know these things are occurring while simultaneously handing over hundreds of thousands of Canadian taxpayer dollars. It's truly absurd. And he claims there will be investigations, but when and to what extent? Don't know. He didn't mention.
Mr. Minister, welcome back. You were here in 2019, 2021, when I was here. There's a few of us left on this committee. Thank you to the staff, Ms. Mondu, and the three Andrews that are here today. Mr. Minister, I just want to raise again this workplace culture with CBC that Ms. Thomas, I just want to get it on the record, if you don't mind. When you did meet with the new CEO of CBC, Marie-Philippe Boucher, you did not raise the workplace culture or the toxic atmosphere at CBC, or did you? Yes or no?
Madame Bouchard et moi avons parlé de plusieurs choses.
Madame Bouchard and I spoke about several things, including the importance for the public broadcaster of being aligned with Canadian values, of course, as well as the values being defended by the Canadian government.
You talk at all about the workplace culture that has all of a sudden percolated, if you don't mind me using that word, with the CBC recently?
Je pense que là-dessus, on va devoir s'entendre sur le fait qu'on ne s'entend pas. Moi, je ne partage pas votre opinion.
We have to agree to disagree. I don't agree that you can take a few isolated cases and generalize to the entire public broadcaster when it comes to the whole issue of the atmosphere at work and working conditions for thousands of employees at CBC. We can't take a few isolated examples and say that this is the way it is for everybody. I don't share your point of view. But where I do agree with you,
Oh, I mean, it was on every...
Médiatisé, mais ça ne
yes,
fait
it's
pas...
got a lot of media coverage. But that doesn't mean that the situation is generalized across the public broadcaster. That's where I don't agree with you and your colleague. I don't share that point of view.
You share this, Minister, with the CBC. As you all know, the viewership is down, the revenue is down, and in fact, the trust is down. And the former CEO, when we had Ms. Tate here, actually agreed with the trust in CBC is down. The streaming platform subscriptions, we don't know where they are, but now your leader has promised another $150 million to CBC. How is this possible? I'll tell you what it is done in Western Canada. Okay, CKSA Lloydminster has served that community for 60 years. Stingray shut the station down because CBC's there now. And the same with CHAT Medicine Hat. 70 years in that community, television is gone. 70 years in Medicine Hat, gone. So while you say the public broadcaster is this and that, I want you to know the public broadcaster has crept in and has destroyed private media in this country. I gave you two examples here, 60 and 70 years. Your thoughts on that? How is this reasonable?
Nous en avons parlé tout à l'heure avec votre collègue.
We discussed this earlier with your colleague, Mr. Champoux. In Canada, and when I'm talking about traditional media, in Canada, as elsewhere, everywhere else in the world, or almost, is experiencing difficulties with the advent of the online platforms, with advertising budgets that have gone from local television and newspapers to the web giants. I think looking at a global problem and saying that it's Radio-Canada or CBC's fault, well, I just don't agree with that. And I see that people across the country are saying, we want CBC here in our community. I've heard that across the country.
There's a reason platforms like X are so popular now, because nobody watches the mainstream media. It should be very eye-opening to see that he doesn't blame Radio-Canada or the CBC for taking over and replacing private or independent media.
Across the country.
They hide the numbers of GEM. You know, there was an ATIP on CBC this summer asking just How many subscriptions do you have to GEM? Oh, we can't tell you that because it wouldn't be fair to our competitors. Crave, which is owned by Bell Media, actually has 3.8 million subscribers in this country. And yet, for CBC GEM, we can't share it. There's free subscriptions, and then there's the paid, $5.99 a month, I think. So is that fair when you say, you know, the public broadcaster is hiding when they're asked? We'd like to know how much money is put into GEM. How many viewers? It might be, Minister, that GEM is useless and it should have been torched a long time ago. So when they're covering up, as a former broadcaster, when I see them, oh, we can't tell you, then I know there's red flags with the corporation. I know that for sure. And in Ontario, I'll just tell you, 0.35% of the streaming market in Ontario participated in CBC GEM. That's not even 1% of the province of Ontario. So that tells me little or no participation in this country on GEM, whether it's free or subscription-wise.
Thank you, Mr.
It's quite obvious the government has been keeping the CBC on life support as it slowly fades away. These viewer percentages are worse than the Stephen Colbert show, and look what happened to him. Anyway, I would like to know what you think down in the comment section below, and have a good one.